Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. Welcome, everybody. This is the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. It's still cold. I'm going to say that. I know I shouldn't tell you what's going on because this might also run again in the summertime, and it won't be cold then. At least I hope not. Our guest today is Doug Jones. Doug, the very first thing I want to ask you is, you didn't pitch for the Indians, correct?
No, I did not. I'm not a senator from Alabama either, and I'm not the horror movie actor. It's like I have people all the time going, "Hey, we're trying to find you on YouTube," and there's like a senator, there's an actor,
Yes.
there's a boxer. I didn't know Doug Jones was such a common name. It was
Right.
crazy. And a funny story. I did a couple singles with Chris Big Dog Davis, producer,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going on ASCAP trying to register us. I didn't realize how many Chris Davises there were.
Yes.
I had to
Yes.
go, Chris, what is your ASCAP number? I can't
Right.
find you on here. The same thing. There's so many Doug Joneses on YouTube and on Spotify. There's a whole bunch of country artists. I'm always having to clean up my pages because I see the country guys showing up on my pages, oh well,
I,
thanks, mom and dad.
I know sometimes we don't think of things like that. I mean, my first name is Darrell. When I was in elementary school, I was one of one.
Yeah.
I got to high school and there were 14 of us.
Ooh, oh
Um,
man.
and all their various spellings and
Yeah.
we were all over the spectrum from spelling, but I've had a couple of nicknames we won't get into in any of those. We're going to talk about music and we're going to talk about your music.
Absolutely.
So tell me, how did this marriage happen between you and jazz music?
Years and years ago, I was always in rock bands and cover bands. We're doing original music and back in the day of like the Huey Lewis and all that kind of stuff. And we were in a band called Life of Riley. And we're getting really close. We had some label interest in Europe and we're coming close. This is like my third go round having labels that really wanted to sign us. And something happened where it fell apart. I finally said, you know what? I'm going to be my own voice. I'm going to start writing I already wrote songs, vocal songs. I said, I'm going to start writing my own stuff, my instrumentals. I was always a huge fan of like David Sanborn, Tom Scott, all those guys. I was a huge fan of all that. And I said, I'm going to start writing my own music like that. I said, I'll be the leader of the band and I'll just see what happens. So, always a jazz fan ever since a little kid. And it just, so let's make that transition from doing original rock pop bands into original smooth contemporary jazz type things.
So you mentioned Sanborn. I also saw somewhere that you're a fan of Grover Washington Jr.
Oh,
Love them
big time.
both,
Oh, yeah,
but they're kind of polar opposites in their playing.
absolutely.
And I always want to know, how do you incorporate what we will call two different styles into you and make that your sound and see how it happens, how it goes.
Well, you know what it is that what they do both have in common, they're very emotional players. You hear
Hmm.
like the heart and soul coming out, even though they're polarly. I mean, you hear Grover, you hear Sanborn sound nothing alike,
Right.
but they were both very emotional players. You could just see him playing heart and soul, and for me, that's what it was all about. Is really playing. The heart. It wasn't so much about the technique and all that. Oh, that's important. It was really important to get that emotion out to make people feel what you're playing. When you heard Grover playing, you could feel it. You could just feel what
Hmm.
he's doing. Same with Sanborn. I never had the pleasure of seeing Grover live, but Sanborn many, many times. Met him once, but Grover, I just always loved his stuff, both. And you're right, they're polar opposite, and you just kind of grab from each one, and somehow you mix it in with what you do, and it comes this whole different thing, which is kind of interesting too.
Mm. So this whole jazz thing, you grew up, and I'm guessing that there is a particular sound that comes out of Connecticut.
Yeah.
What what is that like? And then how did you fit in?
Well, a lot of blues bands in this area, like especially from Rhode Island. A lot of famous blues bands like Roomful of Blues and Duke Robillard. And these states are so small. When I say that, Connecticut, Rhode Island, if you're talking somewhere like Texas or California, this is
Right.
nothing. It's like a city. So it all kind of overlapped. And Massachusetts right there. A lot of blues, a lot of R&B bands, a lot of stuff like that. So it kind of had that some jazz influences in there and the blues, and it kind of all blended together. And it used to be no matter where I went in the country, I'd come back home, I hear some of the best players here. I mean, amazing players, in this area, some that have gone on to do some really good things. Great guitar player, Jeff Pivar, went on to play with James Taylor and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Ray Charles and whatever, and I'd see him at my daughter's school functions with his niece, go, hey, Jeff, you see a lot of great players in the area. I mean, it was nothing to go to a club and see, James Cotton Blues Band.
Mm.
You see Bonnie Raitt. You see just there's so many great people playing around. Spyro Gyra's kind of in the area. They're originally from New York area, which is not that far away. So it definitely is kind of a Connecticut sound. I think it's a little more bluesy R&B oriented. I don't know so much now, but when I was coming up, kind of like all the
Hmm.
players had a lot of blues roots and everything that they're playing.
So are you now I'll say the dominant sound from the Connecticut area?
In terms of,
Just your overall sound, and people come to you, and you're the name that is now known from in the Connecticut area.
I think so. If you know of the smooth contemporary jazz scene, I mean, there's some great players here. There's a guy Jay Rowe who plays with Acoustic Alchemy. We've done some work together. There's Vincent and Gala from Connecticut, Chris Geif, I mean Chris Big Dog Davis. We're all here in Connecticut. We're all like,
Oh,
and I know I'm missing a whole bunch of guys that I haven't listed in the whole, smooth contemporary jazz scene. But I think you'd probably hear some overlap in all of our playing. If you heard us play, Jay and I have done some duo gigs and he's played on some of my CDs. And I definitely think there's a sound in the area, especially some of those older guys that have been doing it for a long time.
you know why I'm laughing. Um, so you've played with Tower of Power, Marion Meadows, Bob Baldwin, just to name a few. As you're playing with these artists, what are you learning, and what do you bring to your stage performance that you got from the people that you've played with?
Well, it's funny, and we'll play with and Marion's another guy from Connecticut too. Marion Meadows is from Connecticut. Friends I
Hmm.
mentioned Mary. I knew there's a whole bunch of guys we hadn't met.
Right.
But with all these guys, like with Tower, we opened up for. I mean, here's my little four-piece band. We're opening up for Tower, this
Mm.
incredible 12-piece band, 11-piece band, whatever. You learn to watch your professionalism. Marion is one of the most professional guys I've ever seen. He's a class act all the way. I'll never forget, I saw him at the casino one night, and there was something wrong with the sound. He wasn't coming out front. So here they're playing, it's his gig, and he's not coming out for like two songs. The keyboard player, Jay Rowe, is waving, and finally the sound guy finally fixes it. And Marion goes, hey, we're all trying to do the best we can here tonight. It's all good. And just kept playing, never once lost it, never once like laid out the sound guy or anything, just total pro. You learn and we treat people with respect. We're all going to make mistakes. So you watch these guys, you just see the professionalism, and that's something you definitely want to aspire to be. Always be the good guy. You never want to lay someone out in public or whatever. You want to be professional, and so you see a lot of that.
I can't imagine this dog. I can't imagine laying somebody out in front of, I don't know, 1,000, 500, 200 people.
Oh, I
That
couldn't
seems
do
to be so embarrassing that it would be. And like you said, we're all trying to fix everything. I mean, I was at something a couple of Fridays ago and the microphone went out. Stagehand runs to the back, grabs another microphone. There are two other singers on stage. They gave up their microphones, and you switch it and you just go on. It looks so professional, and it's almost like we don't think of it.
Yep.
You see it happen and you just blame it on whatever. You don't blame it on a person. Um, that is the one thing I find amazing about uh, you artists is that you don't lose. I've never seen anybody lose their temper, and I've seen some things where the sound goes out, the sound went out. Somehow they lost power in the arena, and it's just dark, and you hear that thump,
Oh yeah.
and and you're like, okay, what's going to happen now? And sometimes they're still playing. There's just no amplification, so you hear basically just what's on stage, and they just keep going.
Yep.
They don't necessarily pick up the song from where it left. They just keep going, and I think
Yeah.
that's a credit to you all, to keep that vibe going and just what it is that you do. It's amazing. I tell you what, let's take a break and let's listen to something that you do. I think of a movie. Um, I get so distracted now. So let's listen to tonight on the Jazz Flyte Podcast with our guest Doug Jones. Doug Jones on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. Doug, I always try to find something that's unique with the various artists. Yours is not a second job. It's not a side hustle. You have a Great Dane.
Yep. Well, we did. We did.
Oh,
He's
you
he's
did?
passed away since. So the second one we had, yeah. He was a rescue. We had him for about probably about 10 years. He was a rescue.
Eh,
When we first got him, he was only 125 pounds. He was starved from, whatever happened.
Right.
It was kind of abusive type thing. So we got him back on up to 185 pounds. Just a great dog. He's just awesome. He's on my top down CD.
Uh,
He's on that one.
in the convertible?
In the convertible. Well, a true story. That's my convertible. It's got baseball glove leather seats. And
Yeah.
so I said, I can't put him on there. He's with his claws. He's going to cut the leather.
Right.
So thank goodness for Photoshop. So,
Oh, I didn't think
yeah,
about that. Nice.
Photoshop. And then
So,
my other CD, Shades of Gray, one of my first CDs, that's my Great Dane Merlin. And that one on the cover, we did the photo shoot. Never again will I do a photo shoot with a dog. It's like by the time we did 185, he was 185 pounds too. We get him in position, we walk him around, lay him down, and then he suddenly get up and move around again. You going, we got to get in the light with all the lighting and everything.
what
Uh,
what were they? We get inspiration from everywhere.
oh yeah.
Did you get inspiration from the two dogs?
I did. Yep. Yep. There's a song on my Tonight CD, not tonight, Top Down called Walking with Jack. It
Mhm.
just was messing around with this tune. It was kind of a bluesy shuffle tune. I said, this will never be a single, but be an album cut. And I just kept thinking of my dog Jack walking. I go, walking with Jack. So yeah, I definitely get inspired by that. My mom and dad had a dog years ago, and we just lost a Great Dane. So I wrote a song called One Last Goodbye. As soon as I played it for them, they just started crying. It was a really, it was a tearjerker ballad on Shades of Gray CD, but I dedicated it to the dogs. I dedicated it to because you being a dog lover and owner yourself, how attached you get to the dog. It's just
Yeah.
incredible bond.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I mean, there's no one, no matter how bad your day was, you walk home and they just can't wait to see it. And you go,
Right.
there you go. That's what it's all about.
So you also write. Do you write all of your songs or most of them?
I do. I write 99.9%. I do have like one or two on some earlier CDs. The last two, Turn Another Corner and a new one, Retro Blue, those are co-writes with Michael Broning. Michael will produce two singles, And then I would give him my demos, go, hey, Michael, which one do you like? I give him like three. He goes, yeah, let's go with this one here. And then he would start, goes, hey, let's put this here and add this. And by the time I get done, it became a co-write, my idea. And then he started adding he's just a magical guy. I mean, he's
Yeah.
an awesome, awesome superhuman being, just a great guy, easy to work with, great to work with, has great ideas. So, um,
How does that work? I mean, did you know Michael beforehand, or did you
no.
just give him your music cold and go, it's in your hands. Let's see if we can make something work here.
Yeah, no, in fact, first time I worked with a lot of stuff I did myself, like tonight, I did that during COVID. That was all me. I produced it. I did everything, produced, programmed, did whatever, sent it to New York to be mixed and mastered because it was COVID. I couldn't do much. But the first producer I worked with was Chris Big Dog Davis.
Hmm.
And Chris, I would just send him my tune and then he would just mix it or produce whatever. With Michael, it was just I kept hearing songs on the radio that I really liked, in the smooth contemporary jazz thing. I kept on, and I wouldn't know it was him. I just go, man, I really like the way that sounds. What's going on? And so I look up the credits, and there's Michael, and then I see another song. Boy, I like that a lot. What's that? And there's Michael again. So then I reached out to him and I said, hey, I want to send you a couple tunes I'm thinking about. If you hear something great, if not, well, okay. And he picked one, and I said, oh yeah, this is the one here. And I was turning another corner. And so he starts working on it and adding a few things, and there you go. So, and again, all this stuff is, again, I've never met Michael in person. Chris Big Dog Davis lives 10 miles from me. We've never met in person. We've done two singles together. That's how crazy it is. It's internet sending files back and forth and kind of working it. I do all my recording here in the house. I got a studio in the basement. So when we're working a tune, he'll send the files back and I'll record like 30 saxophone parts, maybe put some flute in and, whatever else.
I, I
So
I am amazed. I'm old. I still live in the genre where we come to the recording plant and there's eight or nine guys in there and you're all in the one room and you're all playing the sound. And I thought, this is just me, if you could see the other musician that was enjoying the song or was really having a groove, that it made the song better. But this new technology, void or whatever you want to call it, you're just sending tracks out. And 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 it's very, I don't want to say it's impersonal, but it is.
No, and I'm old enough too, back in the day where we would be in the studio, where you're in a booth, an isolation booth. I could see the drummer and then the bass player's another booth, whatever. There's a vibe created that you don't get now. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love to be in a studio with four or five other musicians recording, getting the vibe and feedback from them too, and feeling it. I definitely think there's something special about that. There's something a little sterile about the way it is now. It's just the way it is. It's just everyone's all over the place trying to get schedules lined up. A lot of the big studios are gone. Most of the studios are home studios, small little rooms with a computer or whatever. But I miss those days. I would love to do, and they always say too, some of the best performances have never been recorded. You get on stage with the vibe and everything's clicking just right, and you go,
Right.
man, why isn't this being recorded right now? I think some of my best performances have never been recorded. It's just the way it is. You're just clicking with some other musicians and the vibe is happening and then the sound, the acoustics are just right. There's just nothing better. And those are magical moments. And, if you're lucky, someone recorded it, but I think a lot of times not.
So how long did it take you to develop the computer skills needed to do what you do now with music?
Well, you kind of learn by necessity. Like even today, like I told you last week, I was just upgrading my computer system, get about 10 years old, and so even today I'm on my wife's system. I'm in her office, she's at work, I'm at her home office. I go, look, I'm not ready with that. Show me how to hook this up to your monitor.
Right.
So I got my little laptop here. I've got the screen here and the light. And she showed me last night. I go, I don't want to screw this up. And even tonight, I'm rushing home. I'm going, I got to get this, make sure it's right for Daryl, So I kind of learn what I need to know. And then when I don't know, I'll either call a friend or whatever. But there's a couple of programs I use. I use GarageBand. That's a really
Hmm.
user-friendly one. That's the first one I used, and I can do a ton of stuff on that. And I have friends go, I can't believe what you do on that because I learned how to use it, and now I transfer that over to Logic. So I do GarageBand for my song ideas, Logic to record my saxophone on, and I can transfer from there. But just enough for that. I leave the real high end stuff to like Michael or Chris Davis. That these guys, that's all they do. I just want just enough to get the job done, but not enough to take away from writing and playing. I'd rather spend my time like working on my saxophone and writing than doing the computer stuff. These guys are the pros. I leave it to them.
So how many different instruments do you play?
Well, I teach my day job, and this happened after a bunch of years. My two daughters were born, and my ex-wife at the time said, you really should have something else too. So I got into became a public school teacher, where I teach
Hmm.
instrumental music to, and people go, you must teach high school. No, I teach grades 4 and 5.
Wow.
I get them started right when they're little kids, because you got to get them excited then. If you don't get them excited that age, you lost them. So fourth and fifth grade, and so. That's what I do for that. I really, where are we going with this? You asked me a question. I just got off
I
on a
just wonder
tangent.
what, but it's interesting that that side hustle is teaching.
Yeah.
And and that's the other thing. It seems as though everyone that I talk to has a side hustle, whether it's they were a deputy sheriff, whether or not they're teaching in Michigan, Michigan State. I can't think of his name now. He teaches at Utah. He travels down. He's Hispanic, so he goes down to Mexico and teaches like a summer program. It's almost like now you have to have something else.
You really do because I came up in a day, and we're not that far apart age-wise. I
No.
came up in a day where I could literally work 7 days a week playing wise, and I
Right.
was. I was playing 7 days a week, and I was teaching privately, and I made a living just playing full time. But the problem is when you're married with kids, you're just gone too much, and so
Right.
that's when I said, all right. And when I started teaching, and I was always teaching, so I always knew I enjoyed it. I love teaching. And I had a bachelor's, I had like an MBA, I had a bunch of degrees. I said, all right, I'd rather be teaching and really enjoy that, and then it gave me the ability to kind of pick and choose what I wanted to do. I didn't have to take, because when you're doing full time, the phone rings, all right, what time, where, it just
Right.
took
Yes.
whatever came in, and they weren't all good, so this gave me the ability to really pinpoint what I wanted to do, and there was really focus on the original music part of it, which is really nice. And I've enjoyed. I really do enjoy the teaching part. I really enjoy that. And the summers off aren't so bad either.
That would be the best part. So,
Yeah.
are your students your audience? Are they your test audience? Do you ever go in and go, I got something I'd like you guys to hear, and I'd like to hear your thoughts?
I did not this newest song, the last one. I had my song Catwalk, which is like three singles ago. I would play, they go, hey guys, what do you think of this? And they would start dancing around the room and they're like, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And then they come and go, hey, play Catwalk, and so I do play it for them sometimes. One, they don't believe I'm in a band, I think they picture like Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift, when you say, I'm a musician band, they go, no, you're not. I go, why would I make it? So I go, come here, look at this. Put my website on. They go, that's not you. I go, who else would that be? It's my name, it's me.
Right. It's a picture of me. I don't know.
I don't know how else I can convey, they're so funny because I think they just can't believe. They're like, wow, okay, And then some really buy into it and they know, and they've seen this stuff, they come in and it's almost like, oh, Mr. Jones, It's like they know I'm out there doing it.
And
Uh,
then what
some come to my concerts too. I've had some show up to my outdoor
I,
gigs and show up.
I was going to say, what happens when their parents come up to see you, and then it's the discovery is out. So now when they come to maybe a parent teachers meeting and they talk to you and they're like off to the side, it's like, no, we saw you perform at so and so, and you know what? You're really good.
Yeah, yeah.
What
It's
do you have to
it's,
calm them down or do you just
it's funny. It's just kind of like, hey, thank you, really appreciate whatever. It's kind of nice. It is funny with some of the parents like, oh, we just heard you on Spotify. We just listened to you on Apple Music. We have whatever.
nice?
It's so funny.
There's
Uh,
it's funny the joys we get from what we do is the
yeah.
amazing thing. Once again, let's take some time and let's listen to Turn Around the Corner on the Jazz Flyte Podcast with our special guest, Doug Jones. And no, he's not the pitcher for the Indians. I just want to make sure we get that straight. Okay, here we go. Turn Another Corner by Doug Jones on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. That's Doug up there. That's who we're talking to. We're having a good time here today. Doug, how do you I'm a big fan of time management because you do a lot of different things. How do you manage the time between getting your record done, sending it out, teaching school, dealing with kids, having a home life? I'll throw this in because it's pertinent right now, and 33 inches of snow.
Well, the snow part helps keep you in to get stuff done because you really
Right,
can't do anything else with 34 inches of snow out there. When it's 20 below zero, that really helps keep you inside too.
right.
So it really is time management. You really, usually if we have a snow day, I'm down in the basement working on tunes. I
Mhm.
know, I mean, as a teaching schedule, I get done, I get home, I'll have a coffee, and I go downstairs, I hit the gym. You got to take care of your health. So I hit the gym, and after that, I practice for like an hour or so, whatever. And then if I have some time, I'll work on something. In a school day too, I might have a half hour break where I can't see kids. They have something going on. I got a piano there, I'll be messing around with some ideas, whatever. So, and then it's really summertime is where it really comes together. That's when I really work with Michael, like sending tapes back and forth and
Hmm.
working on some ideas. But it's tough because it goes even further. Then you have to have the graphic design work done. You have to have photos done. It's just, I think if I think about it too much, I go, what am I doing?
Yeah. So I asked this question because of something else I'm going to get involved in. Are you big box record company or are you an independent artist?
Independent.
I don't, the first guy I heard tell me that, I realized what he did. I don't know how you have time. I really don't because you have to create the music, you have to get it recorded, you have to get it mixed, you have to have, and I'll say it this way, you have to have something pressed, whether it's a CD that you send to radio stations or you get it to Spotify, you get it to some streaming source. But then you also, what people don't realize is there's the cover, I'll say it that way, whether it's a CD cover or the album cover. There's promotional pictures. You set up your own tours. So once again, where's this break happening? Where's this time where you can just go sit back and have a cup of coffee? Because now your life has changed because of all the things you have to do to promote this music that you love.
Well, and again, that's part of having a team. Really, team is what it's all about because I have a guy, Robert McLean. He does all the graphic design
Yeah.
work. He'll sit there and get the advertisement out. And then I have a guy, Ray Pioja. He's a great photographer I've worked with forever. Then, of course, Michael Broning, like the production side. And then, mixing is, you send that out to be mixed. And then I have Linda Penn, who does all the radio promotion. Because again, you could have the greatest single in the world, but unless someone's out there pushing it,
Right.
they're not going to play it. I mean, these guys are getting 600. Yeah, I just saw a thing. Was it? There's like 600 singles out now. So when you start moving up the charts, it's like 600 people out there with singles. It's crazy. And when you're trying every week, there's like 20 guys with a single coming out every Monday. And you got to rise above that somehow. And for an independent, and I'm not saying poor me, it's just for an independent, it's even harder than a label guy
Right.
to make it up there. And that's when my single Turn Another Corner went to number one. I had a couple promoters call me and say, man, that's wow. For an independent to make it to number one, and that's again, Linda, my radio promoter, she worked that. She works, I know at the end of the day, whatever the single does, if it makes it to one or makes it to 20 or four, whatever, I know she's worked it as hard as she could. So it really is having a team in your corner, people that you trust and really respect, what it comes down to. Because there's
So
no way I could do this all myself. There's just
so
no
in,
way.
in essence, you have two full-time jobs.
Yeah.
You have the record side of it, and that we won't count all the, I'll call them line items that go with all of that. But then you're teaching school. Now, granted, June, July, August, maybe September, I don't know how your school year goes. You have that time off, but I'm sure those free hours are not filled with something else.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then there's like summertime, a lot of the gigs pick up. So you're doing
Right.
gigs and rehearsals. And at the same time, you got to maintain your playing. Got to put the practice time in. Like what's the old saying about if I miss a day of practice, no one notices. If I miss 2 days, I notice. If I miss 3 days of practicing, the audience notices.
Right.
So you got to be on top of that, maintaining your instruments, practicing, working on it, coming up with new ideas. I mean, my cell phone has about 200 song ideas in here where I'm driving to work and singing an idea into a song that just popped in my head. I would hate to lose my phone because I got a bunch of ideas in there.
Back that phone up. Back that phone up. I'm trying to
Yeah.
learn that lesson myself.
Oh yeah, big
Uh,
time.
got just not that I do as much as you do, but this has got to be very taxing on yourself. You have to take better care of yourself. So we throw in the care factor
Yeah.
of you say you work out, it's eating healthy, it's doing this, maybe you run. I I'm having a tough enough time trying to run my life.
Yeah.
I can't imagine your life. That's amazing. But I guess the reward is when you got that song that goes to number one, there's that enjoyment. But how long do you enjoy that? Because you got to turn around and get up and go to class the next day, or you're about to go on tour, or you're in the midst of writing this song and you're waiting to hear back from Michael Broning or Chris Big Dog Davis to see if this song fits. It's a constant, it's like you're on a treadmill and it never stops.
Exactly. And again, you have to love what you do. I mean, again, I love what I do. I really enjoy teaching the kids. I mean, that really is enjoying. I really get fulfillment out of that. I absolutely love what I do playing wise. I mean, that never gets old. I mean, I enjoy it as much now as I started playing out when I was 15, 16 years old. I started doing gigs. I love it as much now as then. I mean, maybe even more so. The quality of gigs and I play with some great musicians but again, the health part is huge. You've got to take care of your health, because it's a very physical thing.
Right.
And I know when I play, it's a very physical thing the way I play it. I'm not just back there for food. I'm playing hard, when I play. And so I have to be in a gym 3, 4 days a week. I have to be outside walking, happy, whatever. You've got to take care of the diet. You've got to take care of the health, all that good kind of stuff that you really have to no one really talks about that. The kind of stuff in
Right.
music school they should talk about is going, look, you have to be financially responsible. You have to be, responsible with your health, nutrition, watch whatever, in our profession, there's a lot of substances out there, if you're not careful. I mean, every night's a happy hour, but not for you. You can't be, you can't
Right.
be
Right.
taking that habit. That's their happy hour. You're providing the entertainment or whatever they're enjoying. So you got to be careful. So there's a lot of elements going on. But again, it helps to have a very supportive wife. My wife is my biggest fan. She's the first one if I have a tune. Like even when I do the last single I did, Retro Blue, I had like 3 or 4 solos in that. I go, come here. Which solo do you like better? I go, here,
Hmm.
just sit down, turn your head away. I go, here's solo one. Okay, here's solo two. Here's solo three. And then she would go play them again. And she goes, play 1 and 3 again. Okay. All right. I like one. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
so she's along, but she enjoys it too. She's a she's my biggest supporter, and I couldn't do it without her, especially when we have 5 kids. I mean, they're all grown now too. They're all on their own, but there was a time when they're all here. So with 5 kids and a Great Dane and a rescue cat and whatever else, a lot
that,
going on.
that would be 6 kids because the Great Dane is a kid.
Well, yeah, there you go. There you go. That's true. And he was a baby. Yeah.
Doug, I greatly appreciate the time. This has been very educational. I always try to approach this stuff as though I am a novice and I know nothing, which is why I ask questions about time management and how do you focus on this? How do you focus on that? How do you get from point A to point B? Because I don't think, I think a lot of people see the flash. They see you on stage, they see the CDs, they see all that stuff. They don't understand everything that goes on behind, for lack of a better term, behind the music. Um, so this is always, people laugh at me, but these are the things I think people need to know
Well,
because you just don't realize it.
oh yeah, well, quick, I was just getting invited to be a guest speaker at a Rotary Club because they wanted me to come in and talk about music. And they said, "Hey, what's it
Hmm.
take to have a number one single and all that?" I said, "You don't realize when you hear a song on the radio, you're just hearing it and whatever you're
Right,
driving, having your coffee. 1,000 hours went into that song.
right.
That's either writing, recording, the graphic design work, the production. It's not just a song. Hundreds of hours went into that song to make it happen. People don't think realize what's involved in that and how much effort goes into that. Someone put their life and soul into that single,
And it's one song.
one song.
It's one song. It's
Yeah.
not, I don't know. I have a friend who's a musician. He just does like one song every 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So at the end of the year, or whatever, then he'll put out the entire CD.
Hmm.
So there's two schools of thought. But to think that in order to get to this number one position, there's a whole litany of stuff that has to be done. Whole litany of stuff. I
Oh
don't.
yeah.
Uh, um, I just want to watch and listen. That's all I'll do.
That's all good too.
All right.
Yeah,
Um, Doug, let me say this. Whatever you got that new that comes up, please keep Jazz Flight on the list.
absolutely.
We will add it to our social media. There's some things coming up that uh, I no, I will call you back on.
All right, sounds
We
good.
just have to wait for some weight to drop, that sort of stuff. But once again, thank you very much. It's been very enjoyable, very impactful. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Jazz Flight Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. He is Doug Jones. We do this every week, and we talk about different artists on many different scales. Um, and we just want you to help it. We want you to listen to it. We want you to find out who these people are, because some of the people that we talk to might not be well known to you, but they're well known to me and the staff here at Jazz Flight. Once again, Doug, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you,
We will
Daryl.
we will talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flight Podcast. I hope you enjoy these stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darrell Scott.